What's good? What's good? Good evening. Hello. Good afternoon. It's your boy BT doing yet another podcast from a different venue. A little bit more lively, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more subtle here at the library near in my hometown. Got one of my coworkers, aka my work bro, Dimitri's here with me today. Getting him out of his shell a little bit. Got some topics we will get into. Before I even do all that, let me just get him to say hello to y'all. Say what's up.
Yo, it's Dimitri here too.
All right.
How y'all doing?
Give you a brief background. Both of us work together at our job. I'm not going to name any names for business purposes and professional reasons. But
right.
We're both diehard Kentucky fans. So sports-wise, he's my sports talk. We have a lot of huge discussions about sports, and that's kind of going to be a main breakdown of our podcast today. I've been pushing him slightly but relaxingly to join me on a podcast. So luckily I've been able to get him to join me today to do this podcast. So I appreciate him coming on with me. And we'll just kind of let it flow and be what it is. So as y'all know, if you've been, I gave most of you a little bit of an update to talk about what we're going to be getting into today. I have quite a few topics. It's going to be a little bit of music, a very little bit of technology. But since I got a sports head on here, and because I can't let sports go unrecognized, I'm gonna use English one day. You'll see, Dimitri, that I make mistakes on this podcast. We're gonna do quite a bit of sports on this podcast this week. So the first topic that I want to get into is I've always wanted to promise myself that I'll do artist spotlights. Those of you who kept up last week, I did Minnie Riperton, and I did a good job of not knowing any of her music. But this week, I've made up for it. I'm doing The Godfather of Soul, a.k.a. James Brown. You ever heard any James Brown songs, Dimitri?
I have heard a few. Yeah.
Okay. What's a few that you know? I'm going to ask you first, and then I'll name some that I got written down.
Okay. I got you. Everybody knows, the I Feel Good song.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main one that sits with me. And, that it's a man's world.
Okay.
He's touching on multiple decades.
Yeah. All right. I'm with that. So, like I said, he was known as the Godfather of Soul, a.k.a. James Brown, man of many talents, born in 1933 back in Barnwell, South Carolina. Dude was a talented guy. Now, my songs that I got, believe it or not, was Hot Pants.
Okay.
I Got That Feeling, Super Bad, and it was a track he did called Ain't It Funky, where it was just basically him. It's just a guitar that because anybody who knows I'm a music head, so I listen for sound and breakdown. So it was like doom 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 doom, Ain't It Funky. So that's my musical cling and my attachment with James Brown. Like I said, R&B head. A lot of artists to this day have probably sampled numerous songs by James Brown. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, I just put 5 out there, but there are quite a few songs that he's made. Greatest hits, all-time albums. He's done so many of those albums. He went through a unique transition with music. He, like I said, anybody, when you talk about James Brown, is always the Godfather of Soul. I mean, he changed and revolutionized music. The biggest turnaround with him was that he had kind of a turn. I want to say a turn for the worse, but a lot of artists back in the 70s and the 80s always went through just a struggle with, drugs, depression, anxiety, things of that sort. His case, he dealt with a situation involving his wife, or he was accused by his wife of being involved with assault and battery. Long story short, he ended up doing a sentence for it. They cut it down, and he only ended up doing 2 years. But anytime a lot of people who know James Brown or hear about him now always remember that profile picture of James Brown. Now, I was gonna put that on the podcast as one of the images, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna be a little nice on this one. Just get his old school picture.
Yeah, and to be a little bit nicer to him, he does have a lot of singles that reached number 1 on the Billboard charts. He's about 16.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, and he also has the record for the most singles listed on the Billboard 100 charts that didn't reach number 1 too. Massive facts.
Dimitri's come prepared, as we can see, and it looks like I need to be more prepared when I come on my own podcast, and that's fine. But those are all he definitely did his thing and made his mark on top 40 Billboard charts with his music, and he did die in
06.
On Christmas Day, yeah. and he was having complications health wise. That was his biggest impact with prostate. So rest in peace to the Godfather soul, but man of many talents and just music that I'll always think of when it comes to how I listen to and jam out when I'm not bothering anybody doing podcasts. So we go kind of segue. That's like I said, it's my brief spin with music. So this topic I want to jump on because I've been keeping up with them low key, and I know you're from Cali. So having a Chino Hill based conversation should be fun. Now, did you know about Chino Hill School?
I did. I kept up with them over the last year or so. Like the year before, when LaMelo Ball was actually back in high school for his senior year. Okay. They went like undefeated, about 35-0. Won the state championship as well too. Yeah. So yeah, they've been balling for a little while. They actually lost their first game a week ago to Oak Hill. And
I actually saw the highlights of that game, and I was kind of upset because I was hoping they would pull it off, but I saw what happened in that highlight. But I guess it was an interesting scenario, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they played that game against Oak Hill, and for whatever reason, it was kind of a back and forth. Actually, Chino Hill had a lead for most quarters until the fourth quarter, and then Oak Hill just kind of showed out and did what they did. So I don't know if it was the following game or the game.
I think it was the following game.
Following game? Okay. So it was the following game they played, which happened to be senior night.
Yeah.
And LiAngelo didn't play, who's the, obviously he's a senior. LiAngelo's going to UCLA. All three brothers have committed. Well, Lonzo's probably playing one and done. LiAngelo, this is his senior year, so he's going to UCLA in the fall. And LaMelo is a younger brother who's a sophomore, rising junior in so many words. But this story is actually about LaMelo Ball, who dropped a whopping 92 points, which I'm still trying to figure out how is that possible.
The way they play very fast. They get up and down the court.
Yes.
He stays, you could say stays around half court.
Okay.
And gets a lot of buckets in the key.
Yes.
It's like 30 or 39 inside the arc.
Yeah, because he kind of has a low key mid range way of playing from what I've seen with LaMelo playing. And I mean, like I said, for him to be the younger brother and to just drop 92 like that, and I think what got me about that game was nobody wanted to mention it, but he actually scored 41 points in the fourth quarter, which is a lot of points to score in one quarter.
Yeah. Definitely, it's the most points this year for sure, and the last.
Yep.
Well, I think the most is 50 points in a quarter in high school basketball, so it's up there.
Yeah. So, and I'll go ahead and give y'all the rundown too, because I don't want to leave this unmentioned. The reason why I'm glad I got Dimitri to talk with this on sports is because Dimitri is the diehard statistician. I'm the numbers guy who finagles most times, but I kind of pick up numbers as needed, but I still can bring the conversation as necessary. So we both have the article. It's an article, and I have all of these links saved. Normally, and this is one of my, and this is probably something that I'll improve because I didn't have it, but I'm always prepped. The scoring, they have a breakdown of the top scores over the past 25 years. And it's interesting looking at this list because one name that I always look at every time I think about this list is DeJuan Wagner, because a lot of people don't remember he scored 100 back in Camden, New Jersey, and that was back in 2001. The reason I bring up his name is, to this day, we don't even know where he is. He was trying to make a comeback in the NBA, but it didn't really do too well. Okay. Do you remember that?
I actually do not remember that.
Yeah, because he so to give you a background, he played for, and this is kind of like an info 101 for you and as well as the listeners. He went to Memphis. Well, he played at Camden, New Jersey. Went to Memphis, played 1 year, and it was like, oh, he's gonna be the sensation. He's gonna be nice in the NBA. He got to the NBA, and like most players, injuries just riddled his season. So, it was a tough way to see it. But most of the guys, looking at the list, I'll be honest with you, the 25 years, I don't know anybody but LaMelo and DeJuan Wagner.
Yeah. You want to know a funny thing about the night that DeJuan Wagner scored that 100 points?
He
actually wasn't the highest scoring person that night. Yeah, there was actually somebody who scored 101 points that night.
Right.
Cedric Hensley.
Yeah, from Heritage Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's odd. It would have been interesting if they weren't playing against each other, but I doubt that would happen. But having them to pull off that many points in a game, I mean, I still don't see looking back in the, in the NBA status, we're seeing Wilt scoring 100. I wish I could have seen that, but having highlights and having it as a box score as a breakdown was pretty decent. So yeah, we have that. It was talking about the top scores in the 25 years, and then we had most points scored during the current season. And Matthew Bradley was someone who was trying to compete with LiAngelo as far as the scoring stats.
That's a YouTube video where
yes.
he called him out and said, I want to score more points than you.
Mm-hmm.
Another funny fact with LiAngelo, he has 4 of the top, I believe it's like 15 games scoring this year.
Which is very
above 60.
Interesting, because I've looked at, and we'll break this down, because this is kind of like a relevant breakdown of just the sports hit with, going into it. I've watched all 3 brothers play over the past, couple of years. Lonzo just has a jump shot out of this world. He can shoot at any time.
Talented and athletic too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, to be able to rise and get some of the points that he gets. And since he's been at UCLA for his freshman year, it's been the same way. LiAngelo is the muscle, from what I can tell.
And score. He can score. Like post up.
Yes.
That's a shot.
He'll get the trick off on you quick, but he gets that muscle play on, he'll just body and it doesn't matter who's playing him, he'll body him down to just get his buckets. And from my observation, I gotta say LaMelo, I think, is the cockiest out of the 3.
They're all 3 cocky.
Yeah, they all cocky.
But he's probably the cockiest.
I think I've seen him being the cockiest only because he just does not. He's taking risks that I don't think I've seen a lot of players take. It was a game, you probably remember this game, where he played against, I can't think, I don't know the school, but it was a game they played in I think it was one of their tournaments, and he shot a 3 at half court.
Oh, and he pointed it out.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. And I was like, who does that? But LaMelo got that. He has that type of a game where he's just willing to take that risk of that step and going that extra mile and getting his points. So the 92-point score, we talked about all those scores as far as, who had numbers and who didn't have numbers. But it was actually a scoring breakdown. He did that as a dedication to a fellow classmate named Alexis Anderson, who's a sophomore, who's oddly enough a sophomore at Chino Hills. She was, she's on a heart donors list trying to look for a heart. So, prayers and not condolences, but positive vibes to her and her family with getting that accomplished, because that's definitely something, you don't want to take for granted. And I've looked at, from just reading randomly, looks like they are doing a GoFundMe page, and they've raised nearly $36K in less than a week, and they're looking to get $100K to get her a heart or get everything resolved with the surgery and all. And they have that link on their page. It's GoFundMe.com/Lexi Anderson, Lexi Anderson. So normally, and I'm like I said, typically I had these planned out, but this is the only thing I didn't do. Normally I have the links for each topic on the podcast, but I'll make sure, as y'all know how I do, I'll go back and edit it, because I'm that kind of a perfectionist with things like that. So those are that's our brief little high school 2%, because I don't ever want to think that, okay, they went to college or they went pro and that's all that matters. So now I'm going to throw the technology bit in about, this is going to be like a quick techie story, because I gave Dimitri a little bit of an education. Well, I ain't say education, but it's kind of like it's education. It's a little knowledge piece about how the Beats X and the Apple, I guess you could say the world of Apple kind of just became like this random world of some sort, where a couple of months ago, Apple unveiled the iPhone 7, and everybody was like, oh my God, no headphone jack, we can't function. And people like me, I guess I don't need wires, I'd rather go wireless, so it worked for me. But then they gave you a wired headset, and they also gave you, as most people sadly call it, the dongle of death. And luckily, if it ain't for my wallet, I wouldn't have mine. So look, I'll be thankful for that as it exists. So if you are looking at the image, I actually have images of the 3 headphones that Apple slowly unveiled without unveiling, because they didn't want to. They made it a story, but they didn't make it a story, because what they did was they said, all right, we're bringing out our AirPods. It's going to be these little small earbuds that you fit in your ear, and they'll be great. And me and one of my, a friend of mine, I call her my twin. Chanel, if you're listening, you already know how we do. We talked about it, and the minute we saw that was coming out, all we kept thinking was, the minute these headphones come out, I've lost them. Once I order them, they're gone. I done lost them. As soon as I hit order, they ain't even made it to my house. I've already lost them. So a couple of podcasts back, I did talk about that they're pushing something in a beta release to do Find My AirPods, but we're not there yet, so we got to wait for that to come out. But bringing you to the here and now, a lot of people forgot or may not know that Beats were acquired from Apple, or Apple has the ownership to Beats hardware. So the new headphones that are coming out are all branded with Beats as its name, but it also has the push of it's meant to be Apple friendly, but still work as a Bluetooth device for any other Bluetooth devices as a whole. I currently own a pair of Power Beats 3s, and the biggest difference for me is the battery life, and that's what they're presenting with these new headphones. It's 3 sets. It's the Solos, it's the Power 3s, and it's the Beats X. Beats X is funny, and I told Dimitri this one, and I think this is where the education kit came in, because anyone who knows Roman numerals knows that the X is represented as 10. Yesterday was February the 10th. That was the date of the release of the Beats X headphones. The one thing that I feel will be the good factor is the battery life is pretty good for 8 hours, unless you need more battery usage. Let's give or take.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it is. The passion, because I didn't know about this until I saw a promotion about it, where if you put them around your neck and you're having a moment and you need to say, oh, I want to make sure I don't lose them, they clip together and they just magnetize while you're wearing them, so you don't lose them as you go. And they also have this feature, and this is, like I said, this is Techie 101, so I'm always here to educate anyone, not just Dimitri, but any of my listeners who do tune in, about what's called the W1 chip, which means typically when you pair a device, when you do a Bluetooth pair to anything, it's, all right, we're going to pair this device to, I'm going to pair my headphones to this Android phone. So you got to make sure the phone can find it. Okay, it's paired. Boom, you're good to go. With Apple, with the W1 chip, it basically means, all right, you're going to turn on the Bluetooth on your device. Oh, pick up your phone. You pick up your phone. You're going to see, oh, looks like I have Power Beats 3. All you do is verify the connection. The connection is made in a more seamless manner without you having to go to settings, find the Bluetooth, pair it, and all that stuff.
So does it stay connected each time, so you don't have to do that again?
It does. It's a one-time connection. Okay. Yep. And the AirPods, while they were pushing it, and this is, like I said, we're supposed to be doing Beats X, but I want to give the AirPods understanding too. The AirPods give an extended life because the case, when you charge the case has a charge to it, and then when you put the AirPods in it, they're charging as well. So that means you get a charge from your AirPods, and it's like, okay, if they get low, you don't have to say, oh my God, I need to find a plug to plug them into. Just put them in that little device, and then they'll charge that through that little piece. But with the Beats X and with the now Beats X, I'll tell you, which I'm still shocked by, and I'm glad they finally did it, is it has the same connection as the iPhone. So you can charge them with the same cord. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to buy another set of, like, oh my God, I need this. I need a micro cord, I need a mini cord, and all of it's just one cord. So it makes it a lot easier for that. So yeah, I wanted to get that Apple Beats breakdown for some of my listeners. Because I know I talked about Beats at one time. It was just kind of like out there, bam, boom, done and over with. So my next story, we're going to do a little bit of a moment of silence right now because I know this is the emotional time of the podcast. As many of you know of me, I am diehard, go hard, go home Carolina Panthers fan. I was a fan before Cam Newton. I was a fan before Janet popped out her boob at the Super Bowl. Dimitri is a diehard fan as well, but he's a diehard fan of Atlanta. And when I first met Dimitri, he gave me the Atlanta spiel, and it was a love-hate relationship strictly because we were in the same division, but we had the respect of the game. So I kind of want to talk about this, but I kind of want him to talk about it because I think he'll talk about it a lot better, especially since it's his team. So if you want to get into it, either you can use, if you want to use the topics that we have, you can. I'll start it and then I'll let you just run into it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so because I know he don't want to go there because he's still broken. He took a bereavement day for this.
There's so many different ways you can go about this.
Okay, and I'm gonna go with it the simple way. There was a Super Bowl game played last Sunday, for those who just may or may not be aware. And there was a matchup between New England and Atlanta. The term tale of two halves is the best way to describe that game.
So, Atlanta started off with a 21-3 lead going into halftime. So that's one half.
Right.
The other half pictured the Patriots scoring 25 points. But the Falcons scored one touchdown.
Right.
That one touchdown was on the first drive they touched the ball.
Yep.
After that, they couldn't move down the field.
They couldn't get the ball moving, yep.
And it's not even to that point, too. All their drives, if you look at all their scoring drives, all of them were on 5 plays, 8 plays. If you looked on the New England side, 13 plays, 12 plays, so they held the ball from the
clock man, right?
Except for the one drive where they needed to score fast towards the end of the game, where they had 2 touchdowns quick. One of them was like a 5-play drive,
right?
And another thing that the Falcons, messed up on, or you could say choked, was towards the end, and one of their last possessions when they had the ball.
Right.
The Julio Jones catch on the sideline when he had the nice
the two toe, the twinkle toe we call it. Okay.
They got to at the 35 or 30. We had Matt Bryant, a veteran kicker. All you have to do is run the ball 3 times,
get into that range. Yeah.
2-score lead game. You ice the game right there.
We
all know sack and then sack fumble.
Yep.
Tom Brady, one of the greatest. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. Goes down, scores, and you can just say it's history from there.
True. That was the best breakdown. This breakdown was brought to you by an Atlanta Falcons fan. So I really don't know what to say other than what he just said. It was a very odd 25-point lead that the Falcons blew.
And the definition, I heard this, I believe it was from Stephen A. Choking is when you do something in clutch that you don't normally do. Falcons normally do well is running the ball.
Yep.
And, if you're struggling passing the ball, get the ball to Julio Jones.
Yep.
Passed him 4 times, made 4 spectacular catches. Each one of them, I believe, was spectacular.
Yes.
In the second half, they didn't run the ball whatsoever. If you look the first half, they were running the ball.
Yeah, they had a balanced run pass offense, yeah.
So
in the second half, it was, well, we're not going to go to what's working. Let's just do our own thing and just hope it works. And it's tough because Matty Ice froze, which is weird because they really were, I don't know what it was.
Y'all said I blame on play calling too.
It's always play calling, and that kind of goes. And I'll ask you, because being an Atlanta fan and you witnessing what Atlanta did this year, and of course knowing, we'll say, what was it, 2 years ago, between Seattle and New England, you know that was one play between running the ball versus passing the ball. Who do you think stunk it up more? Blew the clutch opportunity more at that for the NFL wise?
With the Falcons, I can say going into halftime, I felt like the Falcons had pressure on them to finish the game off because Tom Brady's going to come back and do what he does.
Right.
With the Seahawks, they were 2 yards away from winning the Super Bowl.
True.
And they did a pass play that I feel like we all know if Marshawn Lynch got the ball right there, it was going to be.
It was done. Yeah.
It was done.
To throw that one play, it just kind of was a tough. Yeah.
It's bad on you on the Seahawks, but however they won the Super Bowl the year before, so that's not as bad.
Yeah.
The Falcons, they haven't been there since '99, and
True.
If you look at say your team, the Panthers from last year, or even the Denver Broncos, it's not that easy to make it back again.
Nope.
So
because you never know what can happen.
That was their chance to win it. Up 25, you gotta finish that game.
Yeah, it was a tough closeout. And I'll admit, the Atlanta game was weird because it was the first half, it was just spot on, good gameplay, consistent, everything went right. Second half, it was like, all right, let's just do whatever and just hope it works instead of like sticking to what you know works. So I mean, despite how we feel about it, and this is just kind of the segue because we don't want to be too emotional. Tom Brady did what he did. So Tom Brady ended up winning his 5th championship. So now the question comes and the annoyance begins. Is he, or do we put him in the conversation of the greatest quarterback to play the game?
What I would say is it's hard to go that way because there's two different ways
styles.
Two different styles. Styles. Because back in the day they played a different style.
Yeah.
They didn't pass it as much.
Right.
Dan Marino kind of did. He was the first person hit 5,000 yards, I believe.
Yeah.
And so other people didn't pass as much. I say he's the greatest of his generation for
sure.
The greatest of all time. It's hard to tell how good Joe Montana would have been in this era.
Yeah.
Because he was a talent in and of itself.
Yes. If Joe Montana had been kept, if Joe Montana had gotten the Tom Brady treatment, and I'm sorry, Roger Goodell, if you're listening, I'm calling you out. If Joe Montana got the Roger Goodell treatment as far as getting, protection and you can't hit the quarterback after so many yards or so many, after you let the ball go, even Terry Bradshaw, no telling how much longer they would have played. Number one. And number two, adding to how much longer they would have played could have factored into how many more Super Bowls they could have won. Because it was, even though a lot of people got on it, I put, a lot of people forget about him, I think, because he only won 2. John Elway was a bad dude.
He was.
John Elway was a bad dude when it came to playing.
And if you look at Tom Brady's Super Bowls, this last Super Bowl was the one that he won by the most amount of points.
Right.
The 4 before that, he won by a total of, I believe, 3 in each, 3 of them and 4 in one of them.
Right.
So they could have went
any kind of way. Yeah.
So he could have ended up 0-7 in Super Bowls or 7-0.
7-0, yeah. Especially the Giants was always a kryptonite because those two the two that they always look at with the Giants, I'm like, that just was kind of like the spinoff of, I don't want to say Deflategate and all this. Because I think that's what, because I know one of my friends had a conversation about looking at it as if, why don't we give other quarterbacks their credit based on how they have or haven't played? With Tom Brady having his moment, Montana having his moment. And just like you said, it literally comes down to errors because I always, and I guess because I'm looking at those 3 quarterbacks as far as Brady, Montana, and Bradshaw. Bradshaw he did his work, but it's like you look at it and they say, well, it was a more pass-based league back then. Number one, and then number 2, there wasn't as much protecting of a quarterback back then.
Yeah,
it was kind of like you had to get yours the best way you could get it, and making rules. I understand they want to reduce and minimize the concussion protocol and all that, so I'm not gonna argue with that one bit. But I think they just it's a different league. If I was put in a position of saying him being the best, I would say no. I think what makes him good is who he has around him.
I say this, does it? Because Tom Brady's not going to play forever.
No.
Bill Belichick's going to coach longer than he stays. So what if Bill Belichick doesn't win another Super Bowl, or what if he does? Does that change the outlook on Tom Brady in your opinion?
Good question. I would say it does, and the only reason I say that,
Which side?
It would be more so okay. And matter of fact, I'll give it to you in a scenario. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, because we know it'll never happen. Let's say Tom Brady decides that he's going to retire next year. Mm-hmm. Do I see Belichick win another championship without him? No. I'm sorry. I hate to be that blunt about it, but you're not going to see another Tom Brady come to New England. Not right now.
But then a lot of people like to credit it to the things like how you said around him. And
yeah, I mean,
Tom Brady too that makes it go too.
Yeah,
because he wants to play until he's 45. He's only 40 now, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So say 5 more years and he wins another Super Bowl or 2. Then would you say he's the greatest? Or
I still don't think nobody. I would say he's the greatest in his era. I still would give him the era, but I think the other side of it is a lot of people won't give him the era credit because of all of the allegations the Deflategate, the lights. I don't even say the lights. I don't know why I wanted to refer. I'm so bad. I want to make. All right, so I'm gonna tell you this story, and this is Super Bowl. This is related to this current Super Bowl. I literally was waiting for something petty to happen at the New England game with Atlanta. I was waiting for some lights to go off. I was waiting for something crazy to happen to be like, okay, this gonna be the switch that boom, now they're gonna start playing. But in hindsight, it didn't turn out being that bad. I just think they had to Atlanta had to stay on the accelerator.
The pressure got to them. They wanted to just milk. They kind of wanted to just have the game end already.
Yeah,
they were trying to keep the pressure on the Patriots.
Because all they needed was me being a soccer head, looking at it from that perspective. You look at a team, you're like, oh, they got a 3-0 lead, they got it. No, 3 points can be earned quick in the soccer game if you ain't playing the right type of defense. And that's the same way. That's basically what happened with Atlanta. Atlanta didn't bring it on both sides when it mattered, and it literally got exposed because of that.
So while on this topic, what do you think was the biggest collapse? The Atlanta game, out of the last 3, championships, NFL, Major League Baseball, and NBA, with the Warriors and Cavaliers, Cubs and Indians, Falcons and Patriots. Which one do you think is a bigger collapse?
I still gotta say the Warriors. I feel like the Warriors just does not add up to me because
I think that one. I would say that one's at least because there's like an asterisk next to it because of Draymond Green went out for Game 5, and things could have been different with that.
Okay.
Injuries happened after that.
All right.
Still, it was a big collapse.
Yeah.
You still had Game 6 and Game 7.
All right, let me rethink it. I'll do mine in this order, and I guess I'll have to be light about it. I'll put Warriors third, and I think that's why nobody voted Warriors. I think they did. I don't remember because I only got 6 votes, but that's another story. I would say Cleveland first, as far as not the Indians choking against the Cubs, because that was like literally everybody who knows about the Cubs always talks about the curse of the Bambino. So for them to get, well, not the Bambino, the GOAT curse. Because they had a GOAT curse as far as them having a GOAT at their game, and then the whole Steve Bartman thing. Yeah. That would be my first one. Atlanta would be second, and I would probably say Warriors third. Because I know I just said Warriors first, but I think after you break that part of it down, it's like it's so close. But I think Atlanta's meltdown is always gonna just stick to me.
That's gonna go down as one of the biggest collapses too, especially it's all happening in one night.
Yes.
One thing though too with the Cleveland and the Indians and the Cubs, it's funny how it happened is because the NBA Finals go on the same time as the Major League. Actually, MLB before it actually does it not.
As far as MLB.
Yeah.
So what happened was mainly you had, it was kind of weird because Cleveland had beat Golden State 4-3, and then a couple of months later. It got a knock because they're always in October. October is when the MLB pop off. So when the MLB action happened, it was like, okay, LeBron was supporting Cleveland, so Cleveland's gonna win. And then all of a sudden he crept on this Chicago Cubs hat like Yama Cup. But I think him and Wade had a bet actually, and I think because of it, Wade won the bet because he had just gotten Chicago. This is an interesting scenario to have happen. Now, I didn't put this as a tab, but we gonna talk about it because it's just the 2% of stories that we found. Vick thinking about unretiring. So you've been a Vick. Now you've been an Atlanta fan with Vick being there, right?
Yeah. The reason why I am an Atlanta fan is because of Michael Vick when I was growing up.
Okay.
And he got arrested. I still stayed with it. I still stayed with the team. I wasn't gonna leave or anything like that. He still remembered there and everything.
Yeah.
However, I don't see him he wouldn't be able to start anywhere. He didn't even play on the roster this last season.
True.
So I don't know if he'd get a chance to play. He tried to work out with the Vikings in the beginning of last season.
I was gonna say, how would that? I can see the Vikings being the closest shot, but any other teams, most of them already got what they need in place to kind of do what they're gonna do, playoff wise or season wise. And then you still got the NFL draft coming, so.
And I feel like his last season he played was with the Steelers, and he started with them, and then he ended up getting hurt.
Right.
We all know Vick for getting hurt, and he's gotten older now, so you don't get more durable as you get older. So
True.
I think it's gonna be harder on him to try to make a comeback.
And for the record, the reason he's wanting to make this comeback is because Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, and he thought that was going to be motivation. If he can go out there and get 5, I think I can get got a little bit in the tank. No, you don't. Just have a seat. Have several seats.
Yeah.
Speaking of seats, we have two. So I have two more. We have two more topics. We've already done the breakdown as far as the sports meltdown, and I'm glad he jumped on that one because that was a good one. Because that's, like I said, Falcons losing New England, and I think what got me about the Falcons one before I go into this other meltdown, and our wild card topic that was presented today. The Falcons losing to New England was one thing, but to lose it in overtime is what I think stands out to me the most because it was the first overtime game ever for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel like once the toss though.
When the coin toss happened and New England won it, it was already game over because. And I had to learn. I kind of ended up learning the rules on the fly because I forgot. If you win the toss, if you score a touchdown, that's it. Because I was like, oh, they scored a touchdown. Another team got it. No, they don't have a chance. You're done. Thanks for playing. We appreciate your time. I was like, ooh, and they didn't. And by them not stopping, someone brought up an idea, and I wish I could find a video of my sports group or a picture where they thinking that New England didn't score.
What play was it that they scored on? What play was it? What down was it?
Might have been first or second.
Didn't
matter. It didn't matter. He was like, I'm that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make a difference. So, like I said.
I saw that picture too.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're looking at meltdowns. We talked about meltdowns. And we have to talk about this story. Because I don't know about you. I remember the Garden back in the day. Like the true Garden games with John Starks, Jordan. Like I said, if I had my friend Lonnie was here and y'all having both of y'all talk sports would have been hilarious doing this one alone because he know about the Knicks, he knows about the Bulls. That conversation alone would have been endless. But Charles Oakley showed up to a Knicks game. I forgot who the Knicks were playing. I'm gonna find out for you. They were playing the Clippers. And he decided to have a little bit of an outburst at the game. Because everybody was trying to figure out what's going on, and they happened to look, and all you see is everybody holding phones and looking up, realizing it's Charles Oakley fussing at the security guards at the game. And the conflict about all this is, from what I've gathered, because the story has now gotten more traction since this happened, is that it was all about he's not a big fan of James Dolan.
They're not fans of each other.
Right. There you go. That's a perfect way to put it. So it's drawn like this love-hate relationship, and now because of it in hindsight, a lot of stuff has happened. Like, number one, he's banned from going to any more games. I don't know how long that's going to last.
And have you heard the comments that James Dolan made, maybe like a week ago?
I don't.
There's multiple stories out with this.
Yeah.
With this altercation, there's always his side, and then the truth. So James Dolan saying that he was yelling stuff at him, which I say though, your First Amendment is freedom of speech. So
right, always. That's what that's all my podcast is, freedom of speech. But yeah, freedom of speech. He said what he said.
And how much could he say? Like, he was only there for a few minutes, is what he's saying. He was only for a few minutes, so how much could he have really said?
Right.
To get him kicked out that much. So and then the whole altercation didn't look good on either side though.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the last game I believe that was at the Knicks, more fans started yelling stuff at Dolan, actually. Yeah,
because Dolan is not the greatest. I don't know how to describe what they're doing in New York right now. Because they're trying to put all the money. And I feel like sooner than later, I'm going to have the Carmelo conversation again, because we're going to figure out whether he's going somewhere or whether he's going to stay.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, we don't know what's going to happen. So.
People forget that the Knicks fans were actually going to do like a little protest of the Knicks. I think it was about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And then James Dolan silenced everybody by throwing $60 million at Phil Jackson.
Right.
Which everybody thought, Phil Jackson, 11 championships, he's going to come in and change everything.
Unless Phil was going to come out them stands and be a coach, and unless Kobe or Jordan was joining that team, the Knicks still paying Latrell Sprewell. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me be nice. The Knicks been in the struggle for quite a few years, and I'll be the first to admit that. So we're creeping close to 5 minutes left in the podcast. I got a wild card story that I want to talk about since it is happening today. Kevin Durant will be making his first appearance back home. Well, back home as far as NBA goes with playing against Oklahoma City. So I'm going to let you...
Yeah, he got picked up by them, drafted by them, played there for 9 years.
Yep.
And the thing that caught everybody by surprise, what makes this big story, is the fact that they were up 3-1 against the Warriors last year.
Yep.
In the conference finals, should have closed it out in the finals.
And blew it.
Was telling his whole team, let's get him next year.
Let's rebuild. Yeah, we're gonna rebuild and make it work. Yeah.
His brother, you could say, or he said, of 8 years, he didn't even tell him when he was leaving out.
Not telling Westbrook was still weird. I don't understand that one either.
Yeah, and then he went home, and then now he's wanting to make it so it's not there's not really a beef between them. Have you heard that? How he said that? How he said it's kind of fake drama?
Right.
I don't feel it's fake drama on Westbrook's side.
I will say this, and you're gonna see it tonight.
Yeah, you will.
They have the truest love-hate relationship you'll ever see in basketball. It's not to say it's a rivalry is impossible. It's not a rivalry. Let's get that. Let's put that aside. And the reason it's not a rivalry is because Golden State. If you put Golden State and Oklahoma City in a 7-game series,
4-game series,
they might get 1 game. I'll give Oklahoma. I'll give Westbrook 1 game because he's gonna get his triple doubles. But as far as it being a good battle, it's gonna be Oklahoma because now Oklahoma has 4. It's not really a big 4. It's like a big 3.9. And I'm not taking nothing away from Draymond. Draymond is an all-star, but I just can't I can't throw them as a 4 yet. Because it's here's how I look at it. And I guess you can relate to this and understand it. This is all great for regular season. Playoffs is another. Playoffs you 0-0. So you got to really bring it in the playoffs. I'm a Houston fan. Love James Harden. James Harden have amnesia when you get to the playoffs. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I can't put my fingers on it, but that's just how it goes. So we'll do this as a closeout. 2 questions. Do you think they're gonna make an official handshake? Hey, what's up? Be cool.
No.
And who do you think's winning tonight?
I don't think they're gonna say what's up, cool, because they're still not on speaking terms.
Okay.
Said by Westbrook and. Who I think is going to win tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a closer game than the 2 games in Golden State.
Yeah.
But I still think Golden State's going to win. But I think Westbrook's going to go off this time. He hasn't gone off yet.
Because did he hit a triple-double for either one?
I think he hit a
triple-double
the second one, but he hasn't been shooting well against them. And he's only made 21.5 points a game. Durant's averaging 39.5 when they play against each other.
Right. Do you see him pushing the 40 mark for Durant? Because Durant done dropped almost 40 on them.
I don't know. We're going to see how he does the first quarter. If he gets 8 points
in the first
quarter or something like that, then yeah. If not, I don't see it because he may be emotional,
So X factor for me, I'm going to pick Golden State, and I'm going to tell you why. Because no one's been talking about him, and he's been actually playing pretty good ball as I fall out the seat. Steph Curry. Steph Curry's been very quiet this year, and it's only because of what they have.
And he would be the one to help him out, help Durant out when it's emotional, and help him make sure that he, has his back.
Right. So I'm gonna see that part. As far as the handshake, I think they're gonna make it because the camera's gonna be in their face. Hey, what's up, y'all? They'll be cool for a second, but I don't see it being as soon as jump ball happens, it's gone. It's out the window.
We'll see. That'd be interesting to see because there's gonna be a lot of cameras there for that.
Oh yeah, they're gonna have cameras all over that. They're gonna have cameras, boom mics everywhere. See what they say, how much cursing gonna happen, all of that. So, closing minute, new podcast, new style. I gotta admit, Dimitri showed out, impressed. Props. Get props for me for.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you showed. I'm glad we did this because, like I said, I would like to do this again. I've enjoyed this podcast. This is what I expected and what I'm looking for. It's just a simple podcast, just talk BS sports, put some input, have some fun with it, and just chill. So, you got any closing remarks?
Well, thank you everybody who's listening, and thank you for having me again, man.
Yeah, man, no problem, man. Like I said, you are welcome on the show. Hopefully next week. Until next time, y'all tune in Bright Tape Podcast. As y'all know, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, both Bright Tape Podcasts. It's on YouTube as well. So just look for those links and you'll be able to check out the shows. Until next time, y'all have a good day. Take it easy. Brate signing out. Peace. That's it.
All right, that was nice.
Yeah.